Hello, extremely intelligent lambs. Welcome back to the Movie Night Reviewer. I'll be your host today, Peter Wary, and today's topic will be on non-franchise movies. Let's get started. For those who saw my last video, I talked about 10 non-franchise movies that I really like, and I recommend you watch. But as you can all notice, that those were all non-animated movies. Today I'll be talking about 10 animated movies that have no franchises or any sequels attached to them that I really enjoy and I very strongly recommend you guys check out. So let's get into the list.
Number 10, Rise of the Guardians.
Rise of the Guardians is a movie I checked out when I was like 12 or something. It follows Jack Frost as he joins a team of all the holiday characters such as Santa, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, stuff like that, as they defend the Earth against the Boogeyman. It's a very fun story with some heartwarming moments in it. It's, as you can see, it's on the bottom of my list, mainly just because it's not perfect, but it's a movie I've watched a couple of different times, and I really liked it, especially seeing Hugh Jackman play Easter Bunny and Santa having swords and all and being like a fighter. Okay, so yeah, I very strongly recommend that you guys check this movie out.
Number 9, Freebirds.
Freebirds is a movie I showed to my little brothers 2 Thanksgivings ago. I noticed it was free on YouTube at that time, and I thought I would check it out and show it to them. And I decided to watch it with them, and I was very surprised. I was just expecting this very little kid cheesy movie, and let's just say it this way. After watching it, a couple days later, I came upon that movie in the $5 bin at Walmart, and I picked it up to give to my little siblings for Christmas. And that very evening, on Christmas, we watched it as a family, and my whole family loved it. They thought it was hilarious. My parents kind of were like, what is this? It was like a fever dream. I thought it was really funny, and they're like, it's a movie that's definitely, you have to check out every once in a while because it does. The big thing about this is it's very, as my mom said, a fever dream. It's crazy, it's outlandish. Basically, it's about 2 turkeys who go back in time to take turkeys off the menu.
That's right. We're going back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu.
Anyways, feel free to check it out. It's a great Thanksgiving movie, and I strongly recommend it.
Number 8, Hercules.
Hercules is one of my favorite Disney movies, but as you can see, it's low on my list, mainly because I'm a big fan of the Greek myths and all, so I don't like how they changed the myth by a long shot. It's the character of Hercules in this movie is nothing like the character of Hercules in the myths and all. By the way, a little pronunciation lesson here. In the Greek version, which the story of Hercules, the movie, is based off of, it's actually supposed to be pronounced Heracles, while it's the Roman version that's called Hercules that most people go by. So that's just a little side thing, but yeah, I don't like it how they have Hades as the bad guy in the movie. Well, if this was the only movie that did that, I would be like, okay. But I have a big problem with how so many Greek myths movies and all have Hades as the big bad. Like, okay, so he's the Lord of the Underworld. He's kind of just creepy, right? But that doesn't mean he has to be the bad guy. He has a lot to do down in the underworld. It's not that he doesn't want to come up. It's more that he's busy. He's always busy. So overall, I like the story. I think some of the songs are really good, especially Go the Distance, and I strongly recommend that you check it out.
Number 7, Tangled.
Tangled is probably my favorite, or at least one of my favorite Disney movies. I really like it. It's based off the fairy tale Rapunzel, where a girl gets locked in a tower, and in the fairy tale version, a princess to come save her. In this version, it's actually a thief, which I really like Flynn Rider, the thief, in this movie. They do such a great job. It's so much fun. This guy is hilarious, and he's so worth watching the whole movie for. It's just him And then there's a horse named Maximus who's hilarious. This movie's awesome. The music is not the best. I will go into another video on the whole topic of my thoughts on the new style of Disney movies when it comes to animation. But for right now, I'll say I'm not the biggest fan of the new animation, so I guess that's one of the biggest problems I have. It's not hand-drawn animation anymore, and I don't really like the whole new big eyes and all that kind of stuff. So, I strongly recommend that you guys check it out. It's a very fun adventure, 100% better than Frozen, and all I wish is that they had a little bit more memorable music. Not that the music is terrible, it's just not as memorable as some movies, and I wish they had gone with this classic hand-drawn animation.
Number 6, The Road to El Dorado.
The Road to El Dorado is a movie I watched when I was younger. I really liked it. The music's awesome. It follows two thieves who happens upon a map leading on the road to El Dorado. Basically, in this story, these two thieves take the road to El Dorado and actually find their way to El Dorado. And once they get there, they get mistaken by the El Dorado people as the promised sun gods who were going to come and save them and all. So they start showering them with gifts and all this kind of stuff. And so the whole story is just them trying to keep it hidden from them that they're actually just two normal people and not just gods and all. It's a very fun movie. The music especially is really good. There's a couple songs I especially like. I think all the songs are on my playlists because they're so good. So I would strongly recommend that you check this one out.
Number 5, Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is a movie I grew up watching. This sounds really weird, but it follows a rat who wants to be a chef, and so he starts making food at this 5-star restaurant that's starting to go down in value, and as he's making these food, it's causing more people to want to come to this restaurant because his food is so good. And so it's just him going on this whole adventure of making food, and it's a very fun movie. I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm gonna have to check it out again, but when I remember of it, it's really good. This is one time when I actually like the animation. I think some of the characters don't look the best, but most of the time, the animation looks good, especially when it's just shots of the city and all. It's oh man, they do such a good job of making Paris look awesome. It's a really good story, and I love it. So please feel free to check this out.
Number 4, Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty is probably the first Disney movie I actually started liking as a kid. I was around 11 when I first saw it. I loved it. I was at that age where I didn't like Disney movies because they had kissing and all this girly type stuff. I loved Prince Philip and how he fought the dragon. It's really good. I really like it. The animation is awesome. The music is good. The characters are great. This is one movie that I would love to see more adaptations of Sleeping Beauty. Stop it with the whole Cinderella stuff. We have enough Cinderella stories. I want to see a good adaptation of a Sleeping Beauty movie again, not like Maleficent, which destroyed it. So overall, I love the story and I love this movie, and I strongly recommend that you check it out. It's a great classic.
Number 3, Megamind.
Megamind is a movie I watched when it first came out. Didn't watch it in theaters. It was right after it came out on DVD. My next door neighbor had bought it, and they let us borrow it, and we watched it, and I fell in love with it. It's awesome. It came out the same year as Despicable Me, so the problem is, here, this is the story, right? Someone believes that they're a really bad villain. They're trying their hardest to prove how villainous they are. But suddenly, a bigger villain shows up, has to defend the people against this villain, and because of that, they become the good guy. Does that sound anything like Despicable Me? Yeah, right? It's a lot like Despicable Me, and that's the problem we ran into, was that it was basically Despicable Me, but Despicable Me got more traction than this did. This movie is 100% better than Despicable Me, but everyone seemed to like Despicable Me more because I think it came out first or something, and because it had minions in it. So yeah, overall, I love this movie. It's great, and I strongly recommend that you guys check it out.
Number 2, Up.
Up is a very sad movie. It's a very sad movie, but I love it. It has some very funny laughs in it. Some of the jokes are absolutely hilarious. The characters are awesome. It follows an old man who decides to move his house to South America after his wife dies. And it's all about him going through the grief. And it's a very sad story. The opening to this movie especially is like really, really sad. It does a really good job. It doesn't really have any words at the part I'm thinking of that's really, really sad. It's just music and you just see time passing. I won't spoil what happens. So basically, he decides that he's going to do the dream that his wife always wanted and move their house to South America. And along the way, he meets a Boy Scout who's trying to get his last merit badge. And they go on their adventure through South America. They also meet a talking dog and some other characters, and it's very funny. It's a very good movie, very heartwarming, but also very sad movie. It's a masterpiece. I strongly recommend that you guys check it out.
Number 1, The Prince of Egypt.
Now we come to my favorite, The Prince of Egypt. This movie's awesome. A lot of people talk about how good this movie is, and I even with that, I still feel like people don't talk about it. Especially, I feel like DreamWorks did not market this movie properly. If you go out there and you try to get a hold of this movie, most of the pictures are going to look something like this, and not something like this that I have up here, right? It doesn't look professional, right? This movie is a masterpiece. This has some very cool visuals, and it's awesome. But the problem is, DreamWorks marketed it as just a very funny kids movie, and it's not that way. The story is about Moses freeing the Israelite slaves from Egypt, and it does such a great job of it. The music in it is phenomenal, especially the opening. The opening to this movie is the greatest opening to a movie ever. I would still put The Lord of the Rings above this for the whole movie, but honestly, I would put this big opening above The Lord of the Rings. This opening is incredible. It's so bone-chilling. It's awesome. This opening is incredible. The visuals to this whole movie is incredible. There's only one song in this whole movie that I actually don't like. It's called There Can Be Miracles. And it just feels like it's out of place. Everything else in this movie is just, all the songs, everything in this movie, the story, the characters, everything in this movie is incredible. The biggest problem I have with this movie is that they went a little bit too much on the humor in some points, where they were trying to, let's make sure it's a kids movie still. I wish they had just stuck to, let's make this a serious movie. Kids can enjoy serious movies too. And this movie's awesome. So overall, this is a movie you must check out, because it's phenomenal, and it's such a good story. So overall, those are the movies I really like. Tell me in the comments below if you can think of any other animated movies that don't have a whole series spin off of them. Again, as I said in the previous videos before this, I would love to be able to check on new movies that you guys offer, because I love the idea of being able to find new movies that I love. And this list might change after that. As you can tell, all the movies that appeared on this were all Disney or DreamWorks movies. The thing about it is I haven't really seen much other animated movies that, besides some TV shows I watched as a little kid. They were not in either of these studios. So please mention any other studios that you think make great kids movies, and I'll check them out and tell you how I feel about them. So overall, this is the list. Please tell your opinions on these movies. Please be kind about it, but you can tell your opinions. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.
Please like, share, and subscribe.